Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. It's noon for me. So I don't know what time it is for you, but it's noon for me, and it is a gorgeous, gorgeous day here. Just a beautiful morning. I got outside this morning and checked on all my plants and went and got some breakfast and sat on the swing, and neighbors were having a garage sale, so we went and got some lemonade from their kids, and it was just a beautiful morning. So I've enjoyed my day already. I hope wherever you're at, you're enjoying your day. I'm so glad that you've stopped in to paint with me today. This is just going to be a fun little project. My grandson already says he wants this painting because he has planets. That's his theme in his bedroom, so he'll get my original painting when I'm done today. So I'm happy that he liked it and wanted to have it. So hi Pat and hi Jan, thanks for joining me today. This is a little bit different time than what I normally do. I've had to just kind of work my lives into my schedule lately, so I'm going to try and work on getting a set day and a set time so I can get a more regular schedule for you guys to know when I will be going live. So right now, it's just one of those things. Yeah, so today we got a busy day today. After I teach this, we're going to go look at a house. We're still looking for a house to buy, and it's getting a little bit harder with interest rates going up. You know, our price, we have to balance our price now and make sure that it's in our price range. But we've got one we're looking at today that a lot of people have already looked at, and we have a 15-minute time frame to look at it before the next people come in and look at it. So it's one of those that has already got a lot of people looking at it. So if you're praying people and this is the house that God wants us to have, pray for everything to go well today. We don't know if it's the home for us, but it's really close to our son and daughter-in-law and our grandkids, so we like that about it. It's all on one level, which we need as we get older, and it's got some of the features that we want, but it also is missing some of the features that we want, so we've got to see if it will even work for us. But I'm excited to go look at it today. It's the first one for a while I've been excited to go look at, so I am yeah, I'm really excited to go look at this one. So but they've already had offers on it, so we'll just have to see how that is going. So I don't want to get into a bidding war. I refuse, absolutely refuse, but we have a top dollar that we can go to, and this house is under our top dollar, so we have a little bit of wiggle room, which makes it even better. So thank you so much, Jan. I appreciate that prayer. So all right, you guys, I am going to put myself a little in the corner up there. As soon as I find my, yeah, that should be me. Put me up here, maybe. There we go. So there I am. This is what we're painting today. This gorgeous little galaxy scene that I just, you know, it's not even a real galaxy. It's just made up, which makes it more fun, because that's what I want you to do. I want you to be creative. I want you to just make something up, you know, makes it whimsical, makes it fun, and, you know, who knows? This could be, to me, it was like we were opening the jar to the galaxy and letting all the planets come out. That's kind of my interpretation of this. So super fun project and painting, and I'm on an 8x10. This one's on a canvas, a regular canvas, but I'll be painting on a canvas panel today. So but I've got mine base coated with 2 coats of deep midnight blue already. If you're painting with me, I've got to go everything we're going to be using. You'll have plenty of time to get that base coated. If you're using a damp roller or a damp sponge, goes on very quickly, nice thin layers. Grab your heat tool or your blow dryer and dry each layer. And by the time I'm done talking about all the stuff we're going to be using, you'll be ready to start painting with me. So, all right, so we've got our surface here, okay, prepped and ready. Let's go over some of the things that we're going to need today. Okay, if you got onto my website, you got a packet or a line drawing if you went to my website and got this. So I just want to show you how it comes. This is the cover page. Okay, it does have a photo on it, but I always include a full page photo. It's got everything listed that I use on this project, the line drawing, and then there's the full page that is the color photo of that. That comes inside my packet there, or my line. This is just a line drawing. It's not a packet. If it's a full packet from me, it will have step-by-step photos, step-by-step written instructions as well. So I've taken my line drawing and traced it onto tracing paper. You can print it onto vellum as well. So if you don't want to trace it, you can print it off. Probably for vellum, you'd want to use a laser printer. I don't know that vellum will print as well on an inkjet, but I haven't really tried it. I have both, an inkjet and a laser, but I tend to print them on laser printer. You'll need some white transfer paper. And either the stencil like this one from my website, which starts at 1/4 inch, goes all the way up to 2 inches. This is what I'll be using today. Or if you have one like this, Artist Loft, which I believe is Michael's brand, you can use this one for your stencil. Just be sure and tape off the circles that are close to the one that you're going to be using, because these are really close together. This is meant for drafting. It's a drafting template, not necessarily, technically it's not a stencil, but you can use it as a stencil. It's just that the circles are really close together, so you need to make sure that you tape off the ones that are close to the one that you're going to be stenciling, or you'll have extra circles that you don't want on your project. So mine are far enough apart on the stencil that I created that you don't really have to worry about that. So I'll be using this stencil today. And let me move my packet out of the way here and lay this stuff over. We'll be using this stuff pretty quickly. All right, you'll want some tape if you want to tape down your line drawing when we get ready to do that. We don't need the roller now because I've already told you about rolling it on. Let me go over the brushes and we'll go over a couple other things. I've got some scruffy brushes here that I'm going to be using. Now, you don't have to use the kind that I use. This one is a Dynasty brush. It's one of their encaustic brushes, which I got at the Brush Guys. I linked their website below, which links directly to the Dynasty brushes page. This is an encaustic brush, and it comes in a set of 3. This is the medium size one. And then I've just got a couple of old more stiff brushes, but you can use worn out brushes. They don't have to be the exact brushes that I use. This is for in the background. We'll be using these dry, okay? We'll also need a toothbrush, or you can use a paintbrush to do this, but I used a toothbrush because I wanted the very, very fine spattering of paint that I did in the background. Gives it more of a galaxy look, I think. So I'm going to be using a toothbrush. I think I listed a 1/2 inch on my thing, but I don't even remember what I used it for. So we'll see if I even use that. I've got a couple of angles, a 3/8 and a 1/4 inch brush, a 10-0 liner, a 2 round, and then I've got a couple of filberts. I think I only used one of these. I've got a 6 and a 4, but I think I only used the 6. So those are the brushes I'm going to be using. You use whatever brushes that you like, that are your favorite brushes, that are comfortable for you to use, that you've used a lot and enjoy using. So those are my ones that I'll be using today. They're just to help those out who really don't know what brushes to use. So I sell a few of the Dynasty brushes on my website, the black silver ones, but the Brush Guys has all the Dynasty brands, so you can check them out. I'll be using some pieces of makeup sponges, or maybe even this fingertip dauber to put my circles on with today. On my original one, I just drew them on and painted them in, but today I want this to go just a little bit faster, so I will use the sponges. I've got my water in my misting bottle to mist my palette with. Of course, you should have your palette, your paper towels, and your water basin. So let's go over the paints. Of course, we are using DecoArt Americana paints. This is the color I used in the background, the deep midnight blue. So our colors today are true red, turquoise, warm beige, warm sunset, vivid violet, oyster beige, lavender, leaf green, milk chocolate, bright yellow, marigold, and snow white. So those are the colors we're using today. And an option for you, if you want to use this or not, is the Galaxy glitter if you want to add some extra bling it up in your background. I did not, because I wanted to keep it a more just painted look, but you know, anytime I have an option to add glitter to something or bling it up, I'm all for that. But I decided not to use it in mine, but you can certainly use this in yours. And it is, look at that, oh my gosh, so sparkly. It's got big chunks of glitter in it. Oh, it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous paint. So you can use that in yours if you would like to. So we're going to get ready to work on the background here. Make sure my light is on the right setting. I feel like that kind of brightened it up a little bit. Let me zoom in. Now, I hope that everything works today. I have had computer issues for a couple of days, so if I disappear, it's probably because my computer shut down. So if I do, I'll just have to put up my video that I made when I painted my original one. I think the fan on my computer is going out. So tomorrow I'm going to disconnect everything, check the fan, and make sure the computer is cleaned out and not dusty on the inside. But yesterday it just kept shutting off. So hopefully, fingers crossed, say a prayer, it will work fine for this entire time that we will be painting today. All right, so I've got my paper towels here. I'm going to have one for wiping my brush off on and one for dry. We're going to be using some brushes dry, so I want to remove some paint. So we'll have those. We're going to start out by doing the background, the blues and the purples and the whites in the background to create that little galaxy look. Lots of fun, 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 fun. So let me put my palette cam up here. Okay, palette camera, there we are. And I've got a picture there for you to look at. Okay, so we are going to put out some white. Move my brushes somewhere out of the way. I seem to have everything not in the right places today. So I'm going to put some white out. Okay, those brushes are just in my way. I'm going to have to move them. Let's see. I also want to put out my lavender and my turquoise blue. These are the colors I used in the background. You don't need a lot of paint. I'm putting out way more than I'm going to need because we're going to be dry brushing this into the background. That means we're going to be using our brush dry. Actually, the technical term is dry rubbing. We're going to be using a dry brush. So let me tell you the difference between dry brushing, my interpretation of it. Other teachers may have it different. But when you are dry brushing, you are using a damp brush, removing the excess moisture and just brushing that on loosely. That's dry brushing. When you're dry rubbing, you're using a completely dry brush. You're loading it up, offloading the majority of the paint, and then you're rubbing it onto your surface. So that's dry rubbing. Those are my interpretations of them. So yeah, other teachers may have different interpretations. Sorry about that. So that's my technical terms. So I've got my paint out here, my white, my purple, and my blue. I'm going to spritz over there with some water. I shouldn't need water for a little bit. I'm going to grab my scruffy brushes here that I'm going to be using and my paintbrush. Or I'll just drop my brush right in the paint. Why don't I do that? That sounds like a good plan. Bet you guys have never done that. That's because the sticker on this paintbrush was peeled back, and so it stuck to the other paintbrush and pulled it out of my cup. Alrighty. Alright, we're getting good to go here. Okay, so I'm going to start with this encaustic brush. It's the bigger of the three that I've got. Okay, and I'm going to load up with, let's see, I believe I started with my blue. So I'm going to load up with some blue in here. Kind of work it into the brush a little bit. I want some paint in between the bristles because I'm going to remove the paint that's on the outside here by just wiping it onto my paper towel. Okay? And now I'm going to start with some light pressure and just start scrubbing this in. Wherever. There's no right or wrong here. It's your galaxy sky. You just do it however you want it. Pick up paint when you need it and just create a fun background. I'm sure this background will not resemble the other one at all, but it'll be okay. I'm going to pick up a little bit more and go in another area. I didn't wipe off as much paint there, so it's a little bit bolder, but that's okay. And I did enjoy using the canvas panel, or the canvas for my original one, because I liked how it gripped the brush and left some of that blue poking through in the background here. So we'll be brightening all this up and, you know, doing lots of things to it. So this is just a beginning with our turquoise here. And then we're going to come in and add some purple in here, and I'm going to use a different brush for each color, so that's why I have three, but I am going to go over these areas more than once. So alright, I'm going to lay that brush aside. I'm going to grab this one. It's a domed one, but it will work just fine, and I'm going to load it up with some purple. Hi Cindy, thanks for joining. And I'm going to add some purple in here. Love this purple. So pretty. You can go over some of your blue areas, and that's going to create a little bit different color in your blue. And you can do your sky circular if you prefer. And if you feel like you cover up too much of your background color, put some of that color out and grab a brush and put some of it back in. So it's an easy fix. You know, you get too much purple in there or too much blue and you want to take some of it out, then just go ahead, take some of it out. So I'm just going to bounce around this. Whew, that's a lot because I forgot to wipe the tip of my brush off. So that's a lot of paint right there. But that's okay. We're going to come in and brighten some of this up. So this is just our first little layer here. All right, I'm going to go back to my blue one, and I'm going to add a little white into that blue mix, or that blue that's on my brush. Okay, and I want to lighten up some of my blue areas. Look how that's making that pop. Oh, that's so cool looking. And I'm almost laying the brush flat. I've got it tilted up just a little bit so that I'm using mostly the flat edge of the brush, not the tip, as I do this layer. Grab a little bit more. There we go. So pretty. I'm going to do the same thing with the purple because I want to lighten up my purple a little bit. So a little bit of white in there. And just find some purple spots that you want to maybe create some more bold stuff in there. Doesn't have to be everywhere. Just kind of dance around your surface here and pick some places. Make it really fun and cool. So our last little scruffy brush, we're going to do just white. And I didn't do a whole lot of white in the background here. I just did a few little random places. I mean, it's really kind of subtle back in there. So I'm going to load up with some white, and then we're just going to bounce around. When I say bounce around, that means I'm going to put some there, I'm going to pick up my brush, and I'm going to go someplace else. So that's kind of bouncing around to me. And just find some places that would be fun to brighten up. That's where we may concentrate our little bit of splattering as we do our toothbrush here in a minute. Ooh, that was a bold one there. Bold. Oh my gosh, how fun is that? Super, super fun. I love it. I love it. Okay, so if you're happy with your background, this part of it, because this is all going to push into the background. So if you're happy with it, you can get ready to do the spattering. If you're not happy with it, I'm going to grab another little scruffy type brush. And you feel like you've covered up too much of your blue, which is that deep midnight blue. We'll just grab some of that color. And then wherever you feel like, that's just a little bit too much in there, we're just going to put some of this blue back in. This is what we based the background in, and we can just scumble that right over any area that you feel like, oh, I need a little bit of that blue back in there. So don't feel like you have to do this. Like this white here, I feel like just a little bit too bold. So maybe I'll take that down just a scooch. Maybe a little more blue in there. So I'm just showing you how you can go about changing up your background if you feel like that just got a little bit too bold or whatever. I just don't have enough of my blue coming through anymore, and I want to see a little bit more of that blue. You know, I want to break up the galaxy stuff just a little bit. So this is how you can do that. Just a little bit of paint at a time. And then just take a look at it and think, how's that? Does that look good? Well, I feel like I need more blue up here. So I'm going to take my brush and put some more blue up there. Maybe a little bit more purple down here in this corner. I like that. And this brighter purple I might stick in here because we're going to be having some glittery stuff coming out of the jar. That's probably about the area where the jar will be. And I might just break this up a little bit because this blue right through here, because the planet is going to be in the jar through here. And I might want a little less of that turquoise showing through. So that looks good to me. I'm kind of happy with that. I say that as I pick up my brush and add more paint over that blue that I just stuck in there. I just want to see a little bit more of this turquoise. I just feel like it needs to come out a little more. It needs to be a little bolder. So just taking what's left in the brush and adding more of that turquoise. I just want more of the turquoise. I really like the turquoise in there. Okay, I'm going to stop. I promise. I'm going to stop. Okay, so we're going to take some white paint and thin it down with some water. Let me grab my brush here. So I think what I'll do is I'll spritz my palette right here with some water. I'll just bring my white paint down to it and make some inky consistency paint right here in this little puddle of white. We'll see if that's enough to spatter on here. I'm going to load up my toothbrush here. And let me move my original one, or I'm going to have spatter all over it. And I'm just going to face my toothbrush down. You can face it up like this and do it this direction, but I'm going to face it down and pull towards me and spatter some white paint. And some areas I'm going to be a little bit closer to the canvas because I want to create that really a whole bunch of stuff going on in a certain spot. Other spots just get a little. I'm going to have to make a little bit more puddle. Didn't quite make enough. So more white paint in here. Okay, load up my brush. And we'll go back to spat. Oh, okay, that was quite the spatter. I'm going to clean that stringy one up. I don't like that. I don't want that in my galaxy. I just want... I don't mind the thicker ones. I just don't want the string one. A little bit more here. Ooh, so fun. This is where you can kind of get carried away. You want to cover everything up with your white, but you do want to have some fun stuff going on in there. Oh my gosh, I love that. Love it. Okay, so that's probably pretty good for our background, don't you think? I always say that, and then I always do more. It's like, can't have too much galaxy. Come on. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I think we'll go with that. All right, I'm going to rinse these brushes as best I can until I can go clean them. Grab a baby wipe and see if I can get that string off of there. Now, if your paint is really thick, like that's thick right there, you'll probably want to take a heat tool or an air dryer to dry that, because we're going to put our pattern on next. So I'll probably grab my heat tool and dry that real quick. Cindy says, I love doing the splatter this look this way. Me too, especially for a galaxy, because I feel like it doesn't leave the big, super big drops you get when you do it with a wet brush loaded and then tap it on another brush. That's another fun way to do it, but I like how this really made it look more galaxy looking to me. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, And you can do your galaxy in whatever colors that you want to do it in. I mean, you want pinks and blues in your galaxy, or oranges and yellows, or whatever you want in your galaxy. You can do those colors. So don't feel like you have to do everything the color that I'm doing. Same for your planets. If you don't want your planets the colors that I use, mix it up, man. Make your planets whatever color you want. This is where you can have fun. When you're doing something more fun and whimsical, you don't have to be exact. I wasn't exact with anything. I just wanted to create some fun stuff. So that's what I did. So let me dry that spot real quick, because it's still wet right there. And you're going to want to grab your line drawing and your transfer paper. And we're going to add our line drawing. Now I'm going to get this up on the easel for you, because it will make it much easier for you to see it. So I'm going to put this where I want it. And I'm going to tape it to my surface here, because I don't want it to move. I'll be using my circle stencil. And then hopefully this graphite paper has enough graphite left on it that I can transfer bright enough for me to see. You'll also want a stylus of some kind to transfer your lines on here. Okay, So let's start with our hand and see how it's going to come out. That's dark enough for me, so hopefully it will be dark enough for you. It's really not going to be dark enough for you. I don't know if I lay this other piece on here, if that's going to make it. Oh yeah, that helped a lot. So I'll try to go back over the same lines that I went over to begin with, but it doesn't always work out that way. Because I want you to be able to see the lines. Alright, we'll take this big piece out. Use this smaller piece here. Alright, so our jar. Oops, I'm following my line there. And this one. Alright, and our jar has an opening. So with my planets, I'm going to take my circle template. And this one should be sharp enough. I like to use, when I'm doing my stencil as a template, you know, for tracing, I like to use a skinnier end on my stylus so I can get up close to the edge of that circle. So I'll go out here, and I have this size. And you can make your planets any size that you want. They don't have to be the same size as mine. They don't have to look like mine. Put a couple there. Let's see, I used a big one up here. And a smaller one here. And then one over here. Alright, so let's make sure we got everything we need. I did not put the nails on because, you know, we'll be adding those after we paint in the hand. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to lay my line drawing aside just in case I need it. My circle stencil I will be needing because I'm going to use it to paint in my base color of my circles. So I'm going to grab my easel and put it up here so we can see it a little bit easier. All right, there we go. Okay, so let's get some base colors in here. So for our hand, we're going to use the warm beige. Shake my paints up. And again, you can make your planets any color that you want. Hopefully I can remember exactly what colors I used. I don't know. I'm going to go to a filbert brush here. And it's going to take a couple of coats on everything, so let's put a first layer in here on our hand. And I think I'll mix a little bit of white with this to start with. And I got a lot of moisture. Let me wring that out. So there's no right or wrong mix here. I'm just lightening up this paint just a little bit. Just stay within your lines because we don't want your fingers, your hand, and all that to start growing. So try to stay within the lines that you have put on here. That's going to help everything look just like it needs to look. All right. If you have any questions, let me know. Let me know. follow your lines. I'm going to do my best to follow my lines here. Create those bends in the finger. And this one's on top here. And then this one is I'm seeing that bent part of the knuckle there. Maybe it doesn't need to be quite that pointy. Let's kind of round that a little bit. Just by removing some of the paint right there at the very tip. Give that a little bit more rounded knuckle there. And then these two right here. We really won't see a lot of these. Probably just one of them will show through the jar once we paint the jar in here. But we do want to put them on there. Alright, let's paint some planets in here. Okay, I'm going to put out, let's see, what colors did I use here? I used, I think, marigold on that one. So I'm going to put my marigold out. And I used red on this one. So some red there. This one is Vivid Violet, and I believe I mixed white with it. But again, your planets, make them whatever color you want. I've got Warm Sunset for this one, but I might mix some bright yellowing with that. I'll go ahead and put it out because we'll need it in a little bit here. And then, oh, I didn't need near that much. Let's see. I got my Warm Sunset. Oh, Oyster Beige is what color I painted this one in. So again, my colors are more neutral colors, especially for these two up here. These are brighter down here. But you can paint yours whatever color that you want to paint them. Alright, so I'm going to grab some sponge here and my stencil. And this one I painted in with turquoise and white mixed together. So I'm going to grab some turquoise. Now, makeup sponges are not real absorbent, so you don't want to get a lot of paint on your sponge because it will go underneath your stencil. So we're going to put this one turquoise. Paints in so fast. And this one up here, I'll move over to this one because I don't want to accidentally pick up some of that turquoise there. This one I used marigold, I think, as my base color. I might have added some white to it, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of white to it. And we'll paint this one in yellow. When we come back with our second layer, I'll just go straight marigold with that one. Alright, so over here we've got a red one. I've got lots of different pieces of sponge because I'm going to mix a little bit of Oyster Beige with that just to make it more opaque for our undercoat here. Because I don't ever throw my makeup sponges away. I just let the paint dry on the edge of them, and then I have a little bit too much paint on my sponge there. Then I just cut the end of it off where the paint has dried, and then I just keep using them till there's literally nothing left. And I like to use this edge of the sponge, not the flat edge. But whatever is comfortable for you, you go ahead and use that part of the sponge. Alright, so violet, Vivid Violet, love this color. I'm going to add some white to it. And we'll paint this one in here. Like I said, you don't have to have a stencil to paint yours in. I painted my first ones in just with a paintbrush, so You can do it that way. Now this one is a little tricky because we got one here that's a lighter color. So I'm going to try and go right up to that one so that I can paint over it. Okay, so this one was the Warm Sunset, but I think I'm going to add a little yellow to it and make it a little bit brighter than I did on my original one. I felt like it needed to be a little brighter. So I'm going to go right up to that circle that I've drawn. See, I kind of went around it with my sponge and just tap that in. Everything will get 2 coats. This is just the first coat to get everything base coated in. And then this one is just the oyster beige here. I'll try and get some that doesn't have red paint in it. And I probably should dry that orange one real quick so it's not getting on the back side of my stencil. I won't transfer it somewhere else. So let's put this on here. Okay, looking good. Looking good. So now I'm going to go back over them and put a second coat on all of them. The same way, a little bit of white in my turquoise. A little bit of paint, because the paint does not absorb into the sponge, so don't get too much. It will go under. So if you have that issue where it's going underneath your sponge, then you have too much paint. So you can always tap some off on your palette before you bring it to your stencil. So this time I just did straight marigold on there because I wanted it to be a brighter, darker yellow, but I needed the white to make it a little more opaque. Let's do our red one here. And because we're putting thin layers of paint by stenciling this way, paint should dry pretty quickly. All right, and our vivid violet, we did some white with our violet. Tapped my paper towel there. Ooh, I probably should have made sure that red was dry. I just about had a mess there. All right, there is our purple one. I'm gonna dry those real quick. And then we'll do our orange one and our cream white. Well, it's oyster beige is the color, so thank you, Connie. I'm glad you're loving it. All right, so let's go back up to our orange one here. And we'll grab our orange, which was the Warm Sunset with some yellow. I want some yellow in there. And put our second layer right up to that one. It's okay if there's a little bit of the background showing through. We have to shade there, so it will be okay to have a little bit of that darkness showing through there. And then our oyster beige one will be our last one, and we can start adding some fun details on these, but we'll put our second coat on our hand first before we start that. So it can be getting good and dry before we get to it to put its details on. All right, there we go. So we got the base coats of our planets in. Super easy, fast. They'll dry fast because we got thin layers on. Your stencil is easy cleanup. What I do is when I am ready to wash it, I take it to my sink and I squirt out some hand sanitizer, somewhere on it, and then I just take my hand and rub it over the entire stencil. Let it set probably for about 20 seconds at the most, and then either take one of my scruffy brushes, an old toothbrush, or if I'm using a stencil brush, I'll clean it with that, because then I'll clean my stencil brush and the stencil at the same time. And then, it's very easy cleanup. All right, let's add another layer onto our hand with our warm beige here. And this time I did not add white to it. I wanted that white in there for my undercoating. Sometimes, especially when I'm painting on a dark background, I will add white for my first layer, just to get a little bit of opacity in there. Makes me have to not work near as hard because I don't have to put near as many layers on. So now once you get your hand painted in, if you cannot tell where your fingers separate or where, you know, knuckles are and all that stuff, just make sure it's dry and put your line drawing back on here. You'll probably have to use gray graphite at that point, so you'll have to make sure that you might be able to get by with white if your white has, you know, some good graphite still left on it. But if you use gray, it's important to make sure that your paint is 100% dry, because if not, you'll set that graphite right into your paint and it won't come out. You'll have to paint over it. So graphite is our friend until it's not our friend. Okay, that looks pretty good for a second layer on our hand. All right, we're ready to add some fun stuff on our planets. So I'm going to start with the blue planet here. I kind of wanted it to resemble Earth, but it doesn't. I mean, it clearly doesn't. My grandson said, that doesn't look like Earth. I said, well, I just put some greens on there to kind of give it the idea of grassy areas. So, you know, it's just a fun painting. So don't feel like you have to, you know, worry about it being exact, because I didn't at all. All right, let's put some green out. We're going to put some green on this blue planet. Just wherever. Just make some land masses that, you know, look good to you. Who cares? You know, they don't have to really be anything specific. Just, you know, wherever you want something, just put it on there. Okay, as many as you want, as little as you want, whatever. Makes no difference. Okay, that needs to dry, so we're going to add our oyster beige lines on our red one. So I just did a couple of lines on the top. I didn't want it to look like a Christmas ornament, so I did a couple lines up there and a couple lines down here just for some fun stuff. Got out a little bit past my circle there. All right, the pink one, I'm going to take a little bit of white and just put some, I don't know, almost dot stuff on it. Just a few. Don't fill it in. I didn't fill mine in. I just put a few dots on there. Just making fun stuff on these planets. They're imaginary planets. They're just fun. Don't stress out about how they look. Okay, so I need my milk chocolate out. And we're going to put some lines on this one. So this is where you can use a detail liner, and I think I may have used a detail liner on my original one, but I'll go with this 2 round that I've got here, and I just created some like weird lines on it. Nothing matched, nothing was perfect, nothing was real, so I don't want you to try and make, you know. And I'm going to try and mimic my original one just so it kind of stays close to that one. I've got my paint thinned down. I need another line up here. Oh, let's see. Let's make a line coming off of this one, and then another one below it, and something there. You know, it's not real, so I'm not gonna worry about how it looks. I just want to make it fun. Can't stress enough about painting should be fun and relaxing, and sometimes we just got to create something that's whimsical and not real. Now I'm putting some white lines in here, just in a few places. We probably won't see a lot of this after we do some darkening on here, so just a few white lines on that one. Nothing big deal. Now this one I kind of wanted some craters to be on it, so I took the marigold and really didn't know how to make craters. So I just started putting some dots on here. You know, some were big, some were little, but they're not perfect little dots. They're, you know, kind of weird looking. So don't, again, stress out. It's all in fun, all in fun. All right, while I've got this brush, I want to go down here to my green and add some white into my green and add just a few lighter areas in my green. And I'm going to do the same with the blue. I'm going to mix a little more white in there and come out here in my blue and just kind of tap some of that in there, maybe a little more white so you can see it. I don't want to zoom in too much because I'll get you completely off camera. So if I need to be closer, just type in "get closer" and I'll get closer for you. So just a little bit of lightening there. Okay, our yellow planet. I'll try this 3/8 angle. I don't know if it'll be too big or not. I'm going to start with a little bit of that warm sunset, and so I'm using my angle brush, just loading the corner of the brush. My brush has water in it. I touched my paper towel to wick out the excess and just loaded the corner. Now I'm blending that into the corner of my brush, the toe of my brush, which is the long part of an angle. And we're going to put some of this color on this side over here. On the other side, we'll do a different color. We'll come down to the this pink planet, and I want to do. I'm going to take the pink color and add a little bit of that background color, which is going to make a purple. So we're going to do the purple on this one for our shading color. And we'll repeat all of these a second time. The red one, we're going to use red. And because I don't have black to make it darker, we're going to go with the blue and make it darker with some black. And we'll put that on this side. We're going to have a dark side and a light side. And we'll be repeating. We're going to use the milk chocolate up here. So right now I have every color on my palette that I'm using in my painting. So we've got them all on here. So I'm going to shade down here with this milk chocolate. I love this color. And bring it up a little bit. Maybe not quite that high. Well, I did kind of bring it up that high on the original one, so we'll bring it up there. So this is the darker side. And then on this one, we're going to use that same milk chocolate and a little bit of blue to darken that milk. Well, I can't do that yet because I got to go around my craters. I got to go around my crater things here with some of that milk chocolate. So I just very messily kind of outlined these. Maybe not all of it, just some of it, giving, ooh, okay, or a lot. That was a lot. You can put some in the middle, break it up, you know, doesn't have to be complete circle, and then bring some of it very messily out into the orange. Okay, it's a messy process. Okay, Fillerful. Is that your name? Fillerful? I hope I'm saying that right. Sorry you're late. That's okay. That's okay. I'm glad you're here. All right, this is that mix of the blue and the brown. little bit more. It was starting to dry on my brush a little bit. It's going to darken that brown, that blue is. Give us a nice shading color. It makes everything cohesive. When we can use colors from the background and work them into our painting, it makes everything work out well together. All right, we're going to take just the blue and load that corner of that damp brush, and we're going to put this color for our shading on this one. Darken the edge of this planet, maybe. There we go. Get that a little dark on that side. Alright, I'm going to add a little lightening on that side, but first we'll do our highlights all at the same time. I'm going to take some of the red and some of the orange and some of the yellow. You can use just the red. Probably on my original one I used just red, but I want this side to be a little darker. So probably by the time I got done mixing all those, they were probably that close to that warm sunset color. Okay, let's go back to our violet one, which was the violet and the blue, making a dark purple, and we'll put another layer on here. We really want that dark side to be dark. Okay, our red with the blue. Repeat on this one. This is a pretty fast little process here. The hand will probably take us the longest time to paint in. All right, aka Shirley Phyllis. Well, hello Shirley. Thanks for joining. All right, so a little more of the milk chocolate here. Now I've been trying not to go out as far as I did with my first layer, except for this one I probably will go out pretty close to the same. This is the blue and the brown mixed together. I especially want to darken over here and bring, oh, that's a lot of blue. Put a little water there. And bring that out just a little bit. Okay, that makes that look really good. I like that really dark edge on that one. And then we have our Earth planet to add another layer on. Wipe a little bit of that off. I try not to get super heavy layers because I'd like for them to stay a little transparent. Still be able to see stuff behind them. But if they get a little dark, that's okay. Now on this one here, I wanted a little bit more of that purple drawn in, so I just grabbed the color and mixed a tiny bit of that blue in there. Didn't make it as dark as that, and just kind of tapped it in there. I just felt like it needed a little bit more something. Okay, let's add some highlights. So I'm going to go out to this one here. And I'm going to do my bright yellow and my white, probably 2 whites, 1 bright yellow. And we're going to put that on this side. Create that light edge there. That could be our sun. I was kind of thinking it could be our sun. We're going to tap some in there to make it a little bit more messy inside that planet, give it a little bit more of a, look of a sun, I guess. Okay, so we're going to use white, just white, on this one, and I'm going to keep it pretty narrow. Don't want too much water on my brush. You can use a liner brush here to do this. I'm just going to use this angle brush. I could go to a smaller angle brush. That might be helpful. Because when I come back and brighten this, it will definitely be done with a liner brush. This is just getting our first little highlight on here. So I'm just using white. And we'll come back and repeat all of these, so, but we're repeating it with a liner brush. Okay, a little bit here. This is a very small planet, so I'm not going to do too much on it. All right, let's go up here to this one and put some highlight on it. And I'm not doing a solid line on here, just kind of one of those hit and miss kind of things. I do want it to be a little bit more into the planet because it's closer. We'll do a little reflective highlight over here. So our orange one, I'm going to mix yellow and white for our first highlight. Mostly white, a little yellow, and we're going to create a little bit of water in my brush. Pick up a drop on the edge that doesn't have paint and then blend it into the brush. Here we can have a little reflective something going on back here, not anything too big, maybe just a little bit bigger than that though, because this is a big planet. Okay, let's do just straight white on this one, and then we're going to do a little bit of some stuff on this one. Who knows what this planet is? I say it's my sun, but I don't know. Okay, white. I'm going to put some fresh white out because I don't want to get any of those colors in it. White, my little detail liner here, which is a 10-0 liner, so I can get some fine lines on here. So I'm going to put some, maybe, all right, too much water. See if I can get some bolder lines on here. And a little bit of reflective back there. And then I'm going to do this on all of them, and we're going to come back and do a little bit more on that one. Got our lines to go around that. Okay, a little reflective light right there on that one. And then our Earth planet, I guess. A little bit there, just a tiny bit of reflective light there. And then I'm going to take my round brush and I'm going to take my yellow, my bright yellow, and some white, mix that together, and I'm going to tap this in on my planet. This is going to give the planet some irregular stuff, making it not look so solid and smooth on there. Wipe my brush and just get some white and tap some of that on there. I'll wipe my brush off and take the brush and just kind of tap it out. And that gives us a little bit more texture on that planet, which makes it a lot more fun. Okay, we've got our lines to put around this one, and I did those with white. So just, you can make one big fat line, you can make just 2 lines. I did 3 on mine, so I will try to mimic what I did on mine. I'm not saying that's going to be what I can do, but I'm going to try. So there's one. Although I didn't make it quite that big on the other one, going out that far, so use your line drawing and put your lines on if you want to. And then one more. All right. See if I can get those off the edge. I think I'll put some brown on there so we can tell that's the edge. And then, yep, I'll have to take my brush and clean that up. Take some of that white out of there. Okay, maybe I took too much white out. And then on these white lines, I took my milk chocolate and put it on these because these are more in the shade. I didn't fill them in completely with the milk chocolate. I left a little bit of that white peeking through, but this is our shadow side, so we'll just give them a little bit of shadow. I did do, why I cleaned my brush off. I did do a little bit right here to look like they're going behind the planet here, and they've got a little shadow. And then I took my white and went back over the part that's white to make sure that it stood out bright. And go into that shaded area, that's fine. Kind of makes it look a little more natural. That's the biggest one, so maybe we'll take that back a little bit farther. Okay, that was all I did with that one, and those lines don't even resemble the lines on my original one, so I probably should have put my pattern on here and put those on. So, but the planets are done. They're super fast, depending on how creative you want to be with them. They're just a lot of fun. I'm going to lighten up right there. Give that a little bit lighter. Okay. Those are looking pretty good. I like them. All right, we're going to work on the hand next. So if you want to add your pattern on here to put your nails on, if you can't see where your lines are, you can do that. I'm just going to draw in a nail here. And then our nail here that we can see. Okay, these are our line separations here. This one comes back through there like that. So now we know our shading areas. So we're going to shade with milk chocolate. I'm going to put some fresh milk chocolate out somewhere. Somewhere where you can see it on the camera shot. All right, here we go. So I want some of this milk chocolate back here on the, going towards the wrist area. So I'm just going to pity pat that in there. And I'm just using my angle brush, but I only have it on the corner of the brush so I can take the water edge of my brush and kind of smooth it out. We're going to do a couple layers on here, so don't worry if it looks rough and textury. We'll do a couple layers of this color. We'll add some of our base color back in, and yeah, we'll be doing a little bit to this hand. So right there is the deep part. Now, it's up to you. On mine, let me bring mine forward so I can show you. On mine, I made it cupped here so that you're seeing a little bit of the palm, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. That could be more of this part of the hand that you're seeing right there. So if you don't like the look of, you know, it being that flat area in there, then you can leave it how you like it. If it's too humped for you, take some of your sky, thin it down. All different ways that you can fix things that you don't like. Okay, so I am really going to be up on the very tippy toe of this brush, just kind of lining here. We're not going to see a lot of these fingers here, so we don't need a lot of paint. So I didn't paint that in very good, so let me look at my original one. That comes up there. That should be like that, and then right there, and then right there. Okay. So you should have some separations there. Okay, should have one. Let's see, we come down this way. Let me just get my base color, because I'm not going to paint it in right if I don't have it right. So this one is down here. And we have this hump here, which is on the back side of that knuckle. And then this area here. Okay, so can you see the finger a little bit better now? Makes more sense. Okay. I'm going to wide angle out a little bit because I don't want to get the hand off camera. And we're going to darken here. Now, if you're getting too dark with your shading, don't worry about it. We're going to be adding some of our base color back in. We're going to be putting some white in here. Still can't tell where my, looks like it's right there. Okay, should have a couple of bends in that finger, so I just want you to make sure you can see those. We'll go around this nail. I'm using very soft milk chocolate here. You can mix a little bit of your base color in with it if it's getting too dark, but we're going to come back and add some of that in, so of our base color. All right, I'm just going to, whatever's left on the brush, I'm just going to rub it right in there for a little shadow area there. Okay. I'm going to take this milk chocolate and mix some of my base color with it. There's too much paint on my brush there. And definitely could go to a smaller brush here. And I'm going to put some of this at the back of the fingernail. It should be a little bit darker than your flesh color, but not as dark as your shading color. So just a little bit at the base of where the fingernail is. Okay. Super easy. All right, let's add some highlights on here. We're going to take our base color and our white and mix them together. This will be our first shading color, and we're just going to put it in kind of loosely. And again, I'm just going to take the brush and kind of pull it out and blend it and pat it, and I'm not being neat about it. I'm just putting some in here. Taking whatever's left on the brush, just bounce around or skip around, move around, however you want to define that, and create some something in there, some kind of chunky stuff. And again, I don't want you to worry if you get it too light. We're going to be lightening up. through there. I think my area where I'm working, I must have some dried paint under it. Let me try down here. See if I can mix it and not get that chunky stuff in there. Alright, so it's looking pretty good. I'm going to put a little bit back here. We don't need a whole lot back there. Okay, I want to take just our base color and load a little bit on the corner of my brush. This is where I'm going to kind of scumble it in, go over my shading if I feel like the shading is way too dark, and just very loosely blend. It's going to blend everything so it kind of flows together a little bit better. And we don't have any definite, you know, that's our dark area, that's our light area, that's, you know, it's going to make it look more realistic. So just a little bit of paint. That's all you need in here. I'm not going to go too much in that area because I do need to darken that. But down here where it's a little dark, right there, let's blend a little bit in. It's going to smooth it out. And that's making it look so much nicer, I think. Just adding that blended color in there. I'm going to add some little knuckle lines on here. My milk chocolate and a little bit of the flesh color. And these are going to be pretty thin, so I'm not going to let them, I don't want them to get very thick, you know what I mean, or dark or anything like that. I put a couple here. Let's see, actually that seems like the knuckle there, but there's a bend there and a bend here, so we'll put some little lines on there and just kind of soften them back with your finger. If you don't want to do that part, you certainly don't have to. If you think you'll get your lines too big. Alright, now we're going with some white and we're going to create some brighter highlights on here. I want to put some shading right there, I think. A little bit there. This is where I'm just going to put it in some places. I'm not going to put it everywhere. And create some light areas on our hand. Right here, maybe. We want this on our nail tip. This white color to highlight the nail. And if I get too much, I'll come back and fill it. Add some of my base color of the nail in there. I feel like this one needs a little more on the tip. Maybe that nail needs to be longer, closer to the end of the thumb, maybe? What do you think? I'm thinking. Alright, I'm going to grab some of my flesh color and put a little bit of that in there. I want the nail to be white. I want it to be the color it's supposed to be for a nail. Get that white paint out of my brush because I want to go back to my shading color now. Really work that into my brush. Go back around this fingernail just a little bit. I think that's going to help that one. And this one, I want to darken in here a little bit. And a little bit of this shading right through here. A little bit more back through here. I think I thinned that down just a little bit too much. And anywhere you feel like you need, I have such a small amount of paint on my brush. Such a small amount. It's very thin down with water, very sheer. But I think our hand is looking pretty good. What do you guys think? What do you think? Is it looking like a good hand? Okay. I think it looks pretty good. Let me wide angle out. It's always easier to see it when it's, you know, I think it's easier to see how it looks in the finished way when you're a little bit farther away. So all we have left to do is our jar and our sprinkles. Sprinkles, not our sprinkles, our sparkles in the sky. They could be sprinkles, I don't know. I don't know. All right, I'm going to take my angle brush. You could use your flat brush at this point. Some more white paint. And I'm not going to load a whole lot. My brush is going to be damp, but I'm not going to overload my brush, you know? So I'm going to have to go over here where I have a place to work and load my brush up. And we're going to start adding our jar in. So I'm just going to just loosely sketch my jar in with this paintbrush. Not letting the paint be too dark right now. Let me get, I don't think I have any water on my palette. I need to put some on it. This needs to come down a little farther here. I'm going to go on to my thumb, and then I'm just going to remove the white paint on my thumb because I want my line to look like it's connected there. Although my thumb could use a little highlight, so. Alright, so we're going to come up this side. Now, the jar comes, it curves around in the hand here. And I think I've got my line drawn a little too far out here. And then it comes straight up this edge. Let me spray my palette with water because I need a little water. Need a little bit here. Okay, let me bring this edge up. I'm not really sure that this edge is the way it needs to be here. I feel like it needs to go out farther, and I am not getting enough paint on my brush here. All right, let's put this little line in here. Back part that's not matching up, so let's make it match. Oh boy, didn't do a very good job putting that line on there, did I? That looks better. And that line back there does not need to be very dark at all. Okay, so let's make the jar edge. This is going to help visually a lot. I'm just using the little corner of this brush and a little bit of paint. I don't want this jar to be super dark. That edge a little bit sharper. Alright, so back here on this back part, I'm just going to pull a little bit of paint down. Use the water edge and softly blend it if it gets too much paint. We don't need a lot of paint back there. We just want to be able to tell that is part of the jar. You know, that it's definitely a, you know, opening in a jar. Put more up here because I just feel like it needs more right there. And I feel like my jar is leaning big time here. Okay, and then this one needs to come out. I mean, my jar, it really looks like it's leaning. I don't know how it looks to you guys. Does it look like it's leaning? I feel like it's leaning. So I'm going to take the paint off of this side right here with my white eraser and some water. And redo that edge right there. This needs to come out right there. A little bit lower, I think. Maybe I should draw that in. That might be easier if I drew it in. I don't know. Right now I'm like, I don't know what's going on with that jar. But I want you to see how I fix stuff, so I don't want you to stress out if it gets weird looking. It's always fixable. Okay, so my jar needs to come out here, so I think I need to erase some of that back here. Okay, let me dry that and try to draw that in. I need to go out to where I have this. I messed up that edge when I kept coming out farther and farther with it, so my line drawing didn't match right. So right in here, I'll remove that. Okay, paintbrush. Let's try it again. Not sure I can do it again, but let's give it a shot. However it turns out this time, it's going to stay because I'm not going to do it again. I'm not doing it another time. Okay, that looks a little bit better. Not perfect by any means, but it does look better. I'm just going to put another line under here, and that's going to help. Put our little bit of white back down in there. All right, let's finish out this jar. Let me erase this line down here first because I don't want that on there. We're going to pull very loosely some paint coming down this side. This is our highlight side here. And it doesn't have to fill it in, so don't feel like it has to be solid in any way. Okay, we'll put some brighter stuff coming on here. Looks like reflections on the glass. We're going to do a little bit down here. Very loosely. We already did a little bit through here. A little bit through here. And then we need some highlights that are coming straight down from the edge and over our earth and coming up through our earth. Make it look like it's behind the glass. Alright, bring a little bit of this up through here. And then I do want it a little bit brighter on this edge. Okay, there's our cattywampus jar. Oh my gosh. It's just this edge up here. I just really struggled with that edge, so today just wasn't the day to be painting a jar, I guess. Okay, so we just need our little sparkly sparkles coming out of our jar. And I'm going to use my detail liner and thin some white paint down for some inky consistency. And make sure I don't have any water on my ferrule that's going to run down. And then you just create some of these sparkle things wherever you want them to be. As big or as small as you want them to be. And some of them I did go over a couple of times to make them really stand out on top. And I tried not to make them super thick, but that doesn't mean that I always accomplish that. So I want some little ones and some big ones. Like that one's kind of thick, I think. So you just create, ooh, okay, that one's super thick. I don't want it that thick. Just do your thing, whatever. Okay, they don't have to be perfect, so don't try and make them perfect. So just go around wherever you want to put them. I'm going to try and put them in the same places that I put my original ones and try and make them the same size that I made my original one, but probably won't be exact. So some up here. Let's see, a little one here. One here. Just using the very tip of that brush, try and make those nice, thin little sparkles. You can leave these off if you don't want to. You could get your paintbrush out and splatter bigger splatters on here. Or you could leave these off altogether. A little bit more water in my brush. Okay, this one's ginormous. Doesn't have to be that big. Okay. I think that's pretty much where I put them all. So any of them you want to be a little bit brighter. You can try and go back over them. Give them that extra little sparkle. I think I want this one to be a little bit brighter. And this one. Okay. I think that's looking pretty good. Pretty good, you guys. I think I am loving it. And it looks like it is done. So I'm going to move my stuff here so we can bring up our original and see how they look beside. So this is a good time to ask any questions you want to ask, and I will answer all your questions. Let me get these papers out of the way. That was for my splattering and all that other stuff. Turn my palette cam off. So we can take a look and see how they look. Not too bad. I mean, other than the rings around that one is not the same. And this jar got a little darker than what this one got because I just couldn't quite get that top right, but it still looks good. It still looks good. So I'm really liking that. Cindy, have you ever put your paintings on a t-shirt? This would look cute on one. No, I never have. This one really would look cute on one. I've never tried that, so maybe that's something I can look into and see if I can do. My planet in here is a little bit brighter than this one. I kind of like it a little bit brighter. It seems like all my planets may be a little bit brighter on the one I painted today than my original one. But yeah, I think it turned out really, really good. I love it. It was such a fun project, you guys. I just really enjoyed creating this, and I'm so happy that my grandson wants to have it for his room as well. So yeah, lots of fun. I hope you guys are going to paint this one, because there's so many creative things that you can do with this one, and make it lots and lots of fun. I think my hand on this one turned out a little bit better looking, maybe. To me, I don't know. I like the color of this one better than the color of this one. This one looks more natural. So, all right, do we have any more questions, you guys? I hope that you've enjoyed this one. I really hope you're going to give it a try and paint it, and tag me on social media if you do. Paint this one. I'm going to make myself big here. And if there's no questions from me, I'm going to let you all go. I hope that you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are, whatever you're doing. I hope it's a beautiful day for you, and keep your fingers crossed about this house we go look at today. I don't know if it's the one. We will know when we walk into the house if it's the one we're meant to be. That's just the way every house we've owned has been. We just knew when we walked into it that was the house for us. So yeah, keep your fingers crossed, say a prayer, and we love you guys. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. You have no idea how much I appreciate you. So if you enjoyed this at all, please give me a thumbs up. Please comment. Please share. Share it to all your friends. And please subscribe, you guys. It helps me so much, and you have no idea how much I appreciate you. So I will see you guys on the next one. So thank you so much for being here today. Wasn't a lot of you here today, but I am so thankful for the ones that showed up. So I'll see you guys on the next one, everybody. Bye-bye.